Hi, I just want to cover a few thoughts I've been having recently on some things that I've been reading, which kind of ties in with the market data that we've been publishing on behalf of Vita. So this time last year, we published a report which was the fairly comprehensive look at all the Vita standards and the kind of volumes and factors that were playing on the market. So those of you who took a report, thank you. I think what's been happening is we've been having a dialogue since that, and it's quite nice, you know, if we can get that going. I'm certainly open to, you know, having some calls with people. People have tended to read the quarterly reports, and maybe they have some questions, give me a call and we'll work through that, and everybody seems to get something out of that. So quite happy to do that. So what we cover in quarterly reports, as you probably know, is we analyze the financial reports that Curtis Wright, Mercury, Contron, Concurrent, and Elma publish to try and get some idea of some of the trends that we're actually seeing on a quarter-by-quarter basis. As well as the sort of bottom-up numbers, we're also looking at any available research that is giving us an idea of what the addressable market is for Vita standard products. And any kind of defense spending related issues that, or political activity that might have an impact on what we're doing. So obviously, you know, none of us can buy every market reports available. Ray Alderman does a very good job of trying to fish out all these different reports and make a point of making sure that all the sort of key guys are aware of their availability, but nobody can buy all of them. I certainly can access those that are available in the public domain, and I need to thank Mercury for, they must contract RSA to do some work for them, because they publish highlights in their quarterly reports, and I'm grateful because I can pull out some of those numbers and reproduce them here. So the market opportunity that they see, and I concur, for Vita standard products is kind of divided into two areas. You've got the sort of C4I application segment, which is platform mission management, C2I, and dedicated communications. And then the other one is the kind of more sensor related stuff. So if you plug in their numbers and their compound annual growth forecasts, which are generally in the kind of single digit area, you can see, you know, there are some substantial addressable markets here for Vita standards. Now these numbers relate to the kind of tier 2 manufacturers. So the overall market is much bigger than this for defense equipment, but when you get right down to electronics and second tier, this is what you can see. Now we all know that, you know, what Vita is doing in terms of product sales is less than $1 billion. So, you know, there's some substantial opportunities available here. That's the sensor and effector one. So that's EW, radar, you know, IR, acoustics, weapon systems. So that's kind of quite useful, those numbers, to give us an idea of what the overall addressable market is. And if you follow the Q4 reports, the one I've just published, it looks at data that, you know, was published for quarter 3, so we don't have the full year's figures at the moment. But you can see that the situation is looking quite healthy, and so we're looking at an average growth figure year on year of about 13.5% at the moment. I haven't got Kontron's figures in there because they are a little bit skewed by their takeover of K-Tech, and Concurrent only publish every half year. So that's a kind of an abbreviated look, but it's all pointing in the same direction. It's looking optimistic. So what's actually driving that growth? There are some factors here which I brought to mind, which are not cast in stone, because although the supply chain crisis related to COVID is abated, we're now thinking about what the effect of tariffs might be, about the relationship with China, and how deeply embedded each of us are in terms of relationships with component supply historically in China, and I think yesterday, in fact, NVIDIA were getting quite angry about the legislation which came out of the current US government, which effectively prevents them from selling AI technology to quite a large range of countries, and how that might affect the overall growth and development of AI. I know the current administration and the one that follows don't agree on an awful lot, but they do seem to agree on China. And so that kind of legislation is maybe unlikely to be overturned. I don't know. But it's certainly a question mark. We are seeing defense budget increases, that's for sure. Whether those continue or not, of course, very much depends on what cost cutting might look like in the new administration, whether it affects defense or not. We wait and see. And of course, we've got the war in Ukraine and the Middle East conflict, which I've said depleting inventory is more than that, of course. If you think about that, what events of the last year have shown that technology has an important part in defeating aggression, let's say. So if you think about, what's happened in the Middle East, you've got the Iron Dome system protecting Israel. That seemed to work quite well, backed up by the THAAD system, which took out an ICBM from Iran. So those things are working well. In Ukraine, you've got what has turned out to be like a war of attrition, which has highlighted, how effective drones can be against armor, and but you've got other technologies, for example, EW, which is denying the electromagnetic spectrum to the Russians. You've got F-16 shooting down Iranian drones. You've got cruise missiles denying the Russian Air Force forward bases. So those aspects of technology are working well, but it's these pesky drones that have been causing quite a lot of damage with armed vehicles, and that has, I think, stimulated the interest in more protective platforms aboard vehicles. So you're talking about, maybe using microwave technology to defeat drones. You're talking about laser weapons, and all these platforms, are looking at being mounted upon vehicles, and each of those need, of course, their own computing to drive them. Well, the vehicles aren't going to get any bigger, so it looks like the electronics is going to have to get smaller. So the fact that we're talking about small form factor technology plays very nicely into that area, and so one can see the business case for small factor mission computers looking quite good. So if we sort of fed some of those thoughts together with the existing data we have and the financials, I think we could be looking at a 2024 annual forecast up 9% on last year, and looking at 2025, I think very conservatively 10% increase is quite possible. Certainly everyone I spoke to yesterday asked them the question, are you more or less optimistic than you were last year? And I think 100% people said for the businesses, they're much more optimistic, with the sort of subscript that as citizens, they're probably less optimistic. There are various reasons for that. So that then, those numbers, if you feed them through into the kind of historic data, you had a bit of a dip there, for COVID and the supply-related issues there. So you're now seeing the possibility of VITA standard products just, nicking over the $1 billion level. So that's a bit of a milestone. But every possibility that's going to happen. What the split between VPX and VME looks like by then, I would say VPX is probably going to be in the ascendancy by that time, maybe already. So it's just a case of making it happen. So that's over to you guys to do that. So I'll leave it there.